Okay, he saw what Roi just did there. He dipped his pen into this, and this is ink. Now, I gotta show you something. When we write in a notebook, we use a regular pen or maybe a pencil, sometimes maybe a marker or a crayon. But this is a very special pen excuse me, that he's using. It is now, you can see it doesn't look like a regular pen. Let me show you what it is. You're not going to believe it, okay? Here it is. This is the pen. It is actually a turkey feather from a turkey, and you dip this part into the ink and then you write. And that's what Roi does. And then when the feather gets too dirty, he dips it in this cup of water, and the cup of water gets really dirty, okay? But that's okay. And that cleans the feather so that he can write. And you can see here are bottles of ink. Now this ink, like a pen, sometimes you use a pen that gets very wet and the ink is still wet on the piece of paper. And then what you have to do is, with this type of ink, is you have to hang the parshiot. That's what this is called, a parsha, okay? And you hang it to dry so that the ink dries and it doesn't run. Because if it runs, it'll look like this, and it's not kosher, see? This isn't a kosher tefillin. This is just used for Roi the Sofer to copy, okay? And you can see that he's writing. And now I want to say one last thing about Roi the Sofer. Roi comes from a family from a place called Teiman. In English, it's Yemen. And there they taught their children how to read from the Torah. Everybody learned the entire Tanakh really, really well. And they learned how to write a Sefer Torah, and how to write tefillin, and how to write a mezuzah. And they learned how to write all of these things. And Roi does this all the time. He writes tefillin for people, mezuzahs for people, and even a Sefer Torah for people. And right now, Roi is writing the tefillin for my son Moshe's bar mitzvah, which is coming up this winter. So it's a very special mitzvah that Roi the Sofer knows how to do. He's called the Sofer, like we talked about. And you can see there he's going to dip it in. And now he writes. Okay. Thank you very much, Roi the Sofer. Okay, we are with Roi Ashwell the Sofer. You can see he's writing tefillin now. I'm going to zoom in and you can see how he writes. He has a ruler. And you can see how each letter is very, very carefully written. And you can see, if you look really closely, you can see how there are lines. The lines are called sirtut. And do you see how when we write on a line, we usually have our words hit the bottom of the line. But if you look, the top of the letters hit the line. It's different than how we normally write. Do you see? And what you can see, what Roi is doing, Roi is the Sofer. Okay, so what you can see what he's doing is he's copying from other tefillin. Do you see how the end of the line, we're focused on the end of the first line. Do you see how it's the exact same words? Right? It says, Avadim ki b'chazak yad hotzi Hashem. So you could see at the end of the line, it's the exact same words. Okay, and you can see up here, there's more tefillin. Can you recognize this pasuk? It has a little ink on it, but you should all recognize this pasuk. This says, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And this is the first paragraph of Shema. And what happens is Roi takes each of these parshiot and he rolls them up and puts them into the tefillin that we're going to see later. And they go into a box, and each one has its own section in a box. You can see how carefully he writes when he writes. You see? He writes every single word. Will come over here so we can see better. But he's writing every single word very carefully. Let's watch. So he copies the word from the line above. You can see on the second line, he's writing the word Yeviecha. Watch. Okay, now the next word needs special concentration. Just be very quiet, because he's going to write Hashem's name now. Do you see? Wow. This is very, very special. This is a very special mitzvah. Okay, we are now going to see what a sofer writes. We saw Roi the Sofer writing tefillin. Now we are going to see an actual pair of tefillin. What do tefillin look like? So I'm going to put the tefillin down here, and I'm going to put my phone up here so that you can see. Okay, move my hand, and watch what we're going to do. We're going to take out the tefillin. This is in a special bag, and you can see the bag says tefillin on it. Okay, and everybody has a different talis bag. Some people have the same talis bag, and the tefillin have two parts to them. Okay, one is the part that goes on the head, and that's the shel rosh, and one is the shel yad that goes on the hand. So this is the shel yad. You see it's wrapped up in a special way. And you can open it up, and you take it out, and it has a box that covers it, and another box that protects it. And the most important part of the tefillin, besides what's inside, those parshos that we saw that were rolled up, they're in this box. And you can see the box is square. It has to be square. It's black. All tefillin are black with a square. But here's the most important part, is the knot. The knot is the most important part of the tefillin, because you have to tie your tefillin. That's the pasuk. The pasuk says, "Ukishartem lios al yadecha." So you have to tie it, and you put this. If you look here, what are you gonna do? We take our tefillin and we put it on our arm, right at the bottom of the muscle, and then we tie it right before you make the tie. Let me show you. See if I can get over here, see? Okay, right before you pull this and make the tie, you make a bracha. And then you would tie it and you wrap it around 7 times around your arm. 7 times, see? You wrap it around like this. That's 6 and 7. And then you wrap it around your hand and you wrap it around your finger 3 times. And then look what you make over here. You make a shin. You make a shin, and on the back of the shel rosh, there's a daled, and then over here there's a yud, which is one of Hashem's names, and that is tefillin. Okay, now we're going to see something else special that a sofer writes, and that is a Sefer Torah. This is a Sefer Torah. It has on top of it a special cloth that covers it, okay? And then watch what happens. We open it up, and it has a belt around it. The belt in Yiddish is called a gartel. And take off the belt, and now you can see it has what are the wood sticks, sort of. They're called Eitzei Chaim. And the Sefer Torah is wrapped around the sticks, and it's sewed, like you sew a shirt, it's sewed onto the wooden sticks. So that way the Sefer Torah stays on the sticks. And then you open up the Sefer Torah like this, okay, and you can see that the Sefer Torah has columns. And if you look very carefully, the lines that we talked about, you can see them here. And obviously the Sefer Torah is in Hebrew, and it has no nikudot, it has no vowels, okay? And you can see something that we didn't see when Roi was writing, because he hadn't done them yet, but here you can see them on our Torah. You can see there are little crowns on the letters. Let me see if I can zoom in on the Torah here. I don't know if I can do that. Looks like I'm having some trouble. Okay, I guess I can't do it. But let's see if I can bring this close. You can see, let's see, we go over here. Okay, so here we go, this is better. You can see that there are crowns on some of the letters here, like over here, okay? And that is, those crowns are on each of the letters, and they each can tell a story. And Rabbi Akiva used to teach everybody lessons from the crowns. You can see that the columns are all straight, right? That they're all straight, and you can see that all the letters touch the top of the line, right? We talked about how in the Torah, and when we write a Sefer Torah and Tefillah and Mezuzah, the letters aren't at the bottom of the line, they're at the top of the line. And we treat a Torah and Tefillin, like we saw before, with a Kedusha, with sanctity. We treat them very special. We don't let them go on the floor. A lot of people kiss them because we love them so much. And that is a Sefer Torah.